Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Hello, my friends. How are you today? This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I am your host, Robert A. Lane. I have a business called Robert Lane Coaching. Maybe this is the first time you're tuning in. Welcome. I am an audiobook coach and producer, and I do specialize in helping nonfiction authors. If you're a nonfiction author, you're the perfect candidate for me to help you take that awesome book that you've published and turn it into an audiobook that you, as the author, narrate. I started Robert Lane Coaching a few years ago, started off as a life coach and career coach, which then moved into audiobook coaching and production. My background has been working, I did work in the entertainment business for 30 plus years. I do have an audio production company that I've been running for at least 22 years now. But taking all that together to create something that can help you, the author, narrate, record, and just publish an awesome audiobook is what I love doing, and I'm here to help you. So that's a quick introduction about who I am and what I do. You can go to robertlanecoaching.com to find out more about what I do for the audiobook coaching business, and I'll talk more about it during the podcast. But a couple of things before we dive into our topic, and our topic is, of course, piecing together the audiobook puzzle, because it is a puzzle. There's a lot of moving parts, and we're going to dive into that. We'll do a deep dive into what it takes to create an awesome audiobook in your own voice. But before we do, just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. First of all, I do have a free audiobook narration reference guide. If you can see it on the screen, check it out there. For those of you who are listening to the podcast and may not see the video portion of the podcast, let me just give you the link. That is bit.ly/narration reference guide. bit.ly/narration reference guide. Grab your free guide. It's a great tool to have around when you're doing your audiobook narration, giving you some good pointers on how to do things from a practical standpoint, and also things to get you to be more compelling and conversational and authentic. So go ahead and grab your free narration reference guide. The other thing that I wanted to share with you as well is that since I am an audiobook coach and producer, I do have an audiobook coaching program, which is called Your Book, Your Voice. And that's where I do work with you on a one-on-one basis throughout the entire process of creating and narrating and publishing your audiobook. And the first step for you, of course, is to schedule a call with me, because we do talk about a lot of aspects of your book, what it's about, what your goals are, what your marketing strategies are, which are some of the things that we're going to talk about on today's podcast. But go ahead and schedule a call with me. That's my calendar link that you see on the screen. And book your call. Would love to talk with you. That is the first step. And I do talk with all authors before I enroll in the program. And I will be going over some of the things that we do talk about during the show. And again, for those of you who are just seeing or not seeing the video portion, that the call link is this: bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Okay, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. And again, robertlanecoaching.com is my website, has all this information on there for you. All right, love doing the podcast live, by the way, and we are broadcasting live on the Bold Brave TV network. Here doing the live stream is great, because if you do have any comments or questions, you want to tell me about your book, by all means, get involved. I know that you can give us a call. You can put comments in the chat if you like. Would love to hear from you. If you would like to call the show, if you are catching the live stream and not catching the replay, but if you are on the live stream, you can give us a call at 1-866-451-14 1451. That's the number to call into the show for the live stream, which we're doing right now. 1-866-451-1451. All right. So the topic today is piecing together the audiobook puzzle. And there's a way of looking at it, okay? Some authors look at doing an audiobook and knowing that there is a lot of moving parts to create a great audiobook. It's like maybe putting together one of those 1,000-piece puzzles or a 5,000-piece puzzle. There's all these puzzle pieces, and it can be very overwhelming. So my job as an audiobook coach and producer is to take that puzzle and let's scale it down to one of those kids puzzles that are 50 pieces. So the process is a lot easier and not as complex as it may seem, which is why I love doing what I do to help authors through that entire process. So that's the pieces of the puzzle. Now, some authors, and I've heard this, actually, was it last week? I was talking with an author and they're like, oh, how hard can it be? You just hit record and go. Well, again, to try to demystify exactly what is involved in creating an audiobook is what we are going to talk about, which are the puzzle pieces that once you put them together, you will create an awesome product. Okay, so piecing together the audiobook puzzle. One of the things that you need to think about, and I've seen this happen where some authors look at this as an afterthought, maybe while they're recording their audiobook or even after they finish recording their audiobook, they think, oh, how am I going to market my book? So this is something that you need to think about now, and that is a very important piece of the audiobook puzzle, and that is, what is your marketing strategy? What is the timeline? What is the destination that you want to reach with your audiobook? You got to have a plan. You got to set your audiobook GPS to the destination that you want to end up. And that is having a plan, having a roadmap that is all mapped out to where you want to go and what you want to achieve with your audiobook. And then again, when you do schedule an audiobook consultation call with me, these are some of the things that we do talk about. Of course, I want to find out about your book, but I also want to find out what your marketing strategy is. What is it that you want to accomplish with your audiobook? You can think about it like producing a movie, right? There's pre-production, and then there's the actual production, and then there's post-production. And then, of course, after post-production is done and the movie's released, there's a lot of marketing that goes on before the release of the movie, and then after the release of the movie, there's even more marketing going on. So there's a plan, okay? Same thing applies for you as an author, is you got to have a plan. You got to have it mapped out. So what is it that you want to achieve? What is your, again, audiobook GPS? You're plugging it in, you're putting in your coordinates. What is it that you want to do? Where's your destination? So have that in mind. You can even replace the word production with, pre-marketing for your audiobook, and then marketing your audiobook while you're recording your audiobook, and then post-marketing your audiobook when it's launched, because you still want to be able to promote your product. All right. And again, this is your product. It's one of the pieces of your product as an author. You are an author. This is your brand. All right. Your products are your ebook, your paperback, your hardcover, your audiobook. Those are the products that you're putting out there for your readers and your listeners, of course, to your audiobook, and your followers and people who love your writing style and are drawn to you. And as a nonfiction author, whether you are sharing a memoir or a story or an experience about yourself, or maybe you are talking about an experience of somebody else, or maybe you are a coach or an entrepreneur, or maybe you are a poet or a children's book writer or an educator or teacher, whatever it is, whatever your book is about, that is your author brand. And what encompasses your author brand is you, your style, your belief systems, your habits. Everything that encompasses who you are is your author brand. Your sense of humor, the style of your writing, your pacing, all of that. And that is in your written word already. And of course, as I am an audiobook coach and producer and a big proponent of every nonfiction author needs to narrate their own audiobook because it's your story. There's no one on this planet who can replicate you. There's no one on this planet who can tell your story, who can speak your story better than you can. You are the most qualified person to narrate your audiobook, and you do have what it takes to do a great job. Whether you do speaking engagements, or maybe you've never done any kind of public speaking, or maybe you're shy about talking, into a microphone. Very understandable. And those are things that we do talk about in the coaching program to help you build confidence. But again, pieces of the puzzle. Number one piece that you need to think about before you even start recording your audiobook is, what is my plan? What is it that I want to do? What do I want to accomplish with my audiobook? Have your marketing strategy planned out, because that's just going to make life so much easier. The next thing that you need to think about is distribution. And it's good to think about these things before you start recording your audiobook. Where do I want to be distributed? Where does this audiobook need to be distributed? And that does tie into your marketing plan. So again, the AAA, Audible, Amazon, and Apple. I call it the AAA because those are the three distribution platforms that you really need to be on. You really do. And there are other distribution platforms that you can get your audiobook published on, at least another 30 or 40 different platforms that are out there. But you need to think about your marketing strategy, and you have to ask yourself that question. If I am on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, am I hitting the territories and the markets that are already working for me with my book? Am I hitting the territories and markets that I want to hit that are being very lucrative to getting my product out there? People are finding me, they are buying my book, they are discovering me, they are following me as one of their favorite authors. All these things come into play. All right. So if that's working for you, then be exclusive on the AAA, be exclusive on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. Now, the clients who work with me, I offer them a choice. And again, this is something that we do talk about in the initial audiobook consultation so that we have a plan laid out for you. All right. So maybe being distributed in other distribution platforms that cover other territories around the world, or maybe you're having a lot of success of your book being in libraries and on your website, and maybe Barnes and Noble or Rakuten, or there's a million other places, right? Well, we'll say 30 to 40 because that's about what the distributions are, platforms are. But again, if that's working for you, then you would go non-exclusive. And the clients who do work with me, the authors who do go through my program, have that choice to either be exclusive, which I help them get set up to be exclusive on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, or maybe they want to be non-exclusive with Audible, Amazon, and Apple, so that you can be distributed on other distribution platforms because that works for you. And again, I help you through that process as your coach and as your guide to get you set up on whatever platform works for you. So when it comes to piecing together the audiobook puzzle, keep this in mind. Marketing and distribution are something that you should already have in mind and already have mapped out. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about the actual setup and preparation process. This is more of the pieces of the puzzle that you need to be aware of, and things that you need to do to create a great audiobook. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. If you'd like to find out more about Robert Lane Coaching, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com and to find out more about the audiobook coaching program. You can schedule your call with me there on the website as well, and grab your freebie as well. Good stuff. All right. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Don't go away, my friends. We have so much more to share with you when we come back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
All right, welcome back to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. RobertLaneCoaching.com is my website if you'd like to find out more about my audiobook coaching program called Your Book, Your Voice. Very conveniently called. Hey, it's the same name as a podcast. What do you know? Thank you so much for tuning in. Our topic today is piecing together the audiobook puzzle. So the first segment, we talked about marketing and distribution and how important it is to have a marketing plan and knowing how you want to be distributed, where you want to be distributed, and again, having that already mapped out. So that's definitely an important aspect. So let's talk about the actual process. So the first thing that you need to do, again, grabbing more pieces of that puzzle, is setting up your own recording space, because you can record your audiobook in your own space. Absolutely. 100%. And which is what I have my clients do when they're in the audiobook coaching program, because I send you the professional equipment that you need for setting up your space. So you get a professional microphone, a professional headset, you have a recording program that we go over and take you step by step on how to set up an awesome space, whether it's a home office that you have, or maybe it's in your bedroom, or, I've had a couple of clients set up their recording space in their walk-in closet because it's nice and quiet and it's out of the way and nobody disturbs them. So, hey, you know what? If it works, do it. Because the bottom line is you want to be comfortable in your own recording space. And the beauty about having your own recording space is that you're not bound to, first of all, finding a good recording studio, which you cannot cut corners, okay? You cannot cut corners. But then you're going to have to find a place to record. You're going to have to book time, and you're going to have to be on their schedule. And that can create a lot of stress and anxiety and pressure upon yourself to get your audiobook recorded and to do it right and to do it the way that you want it to sound. Because if you have in the back of your mind, like, oh, great, I got 2 hours of studio time, I got 3 chapters to get through. Oh man, you start to get stressed, and that will definitely affect your audiobook delivery. So I have the authors that go through my program. I send them the equipment that they need. And I'm not talking about, some $50 or $100 or even $150 mic. Nothing's cheap. You need top quality product, right? You need top quality professional equipment to do your audiobook. And I send it to you. It's part of the program, and it's yours to keep. You don't have to send it back to me. You have great professional equipment now that you can do for your next book when you record your next audiobook. Or maybe you're a guest on a podcast Now you have great equipment to sound awesome. Or maybe you want to do your own podcast. There you go. You're halfway there. You got the equipment. It is yours to keep. All right. And that's part of the program. And I'm glad to do it. All right. So setting up your recording space is something that I walk you through and how to do it, how to set it up. The other piece of the puzzle that you have to start thinking about as well is you need to create, or yeah, I guess you would say create, that word works, your account for where you're going to be distributed. And this is why we have this conversation about distribution and marketing. If you want to be on the AAA, Audible, Amazon, and Apple, there's a certain way that and certain procedure that you need to go through to set up your publication account so that you get published on those platforms. If you are doing distribution worldwide, then we go a different route where I help you set up your account to be distributed not only on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, but on that 30 or 40 other distribution platforms. And I take you through the process of doing it. So again, it's hassle-free. There's not all this pressure for you to try to figure it out on your own. When you're in the program, of course, you do have video lessons, but we do work together one-on-one. We have meetings, we do everything together. So alleviating that pressure. But those are things that you need to have in place when you are preparing to do your audiobook, and that's part of the process. Again, we're taking those pieces of the puzzle and putting them together, taking those 5,000 piece puzzle, right, and shoring it down to that 50-piece puzzle, so the process is so much easier and less stressful for you as the author. Another thing that we talk about, of course, and which you need to be aware of as well, and this is a very important piece of the puzzle, and that's file management. How are you filing your audio files when you are recording your audiobook? You've got to have a file management system that works, that is easily identifiable, not only for you, but also, which we're going to talk about later on in the podcast, about the actual production aspect of it, because once you record your audiobook, you have to have your audio files edited, cleaned up, and make sure that they meet the exact specifications for publication. And we'll dive into that a little bit later on. But file management is key, because if you are sending your files to an editor to be edited, they need to know exactly what it is. And if you're not labeling your files properly, it's just going to be way more confusing for everybody all the way around. So you don't want to do that. So file management is a very important aspect of the audiobook process and a very important piece of the audiobook puzzle. There's one thing that I do want to spend a little bit of time on to talk to you about, and this is something that a lot of authors don't think about, and it is very important, and that is mindset. You have to be in the right frame of mind before you even think about hitting the record button to do your audiobook. And mindset is key. Luckily, when I started Robert Lane Coaching a few years ago, doing career coaching and life coaching, so all the tools and techniques and training that I did to be a career coach and life coach come into play for your audiobook. And so the tools and techniques that I teach with that aspect of coaching, I teach you so that you have the tools and techniques to get yourself focused, to be in the right frame of mind, to be present, to have the confidence that you need to be, again, focused in the right frame of mind to do an audiobook narration. And it is different than doing a speaking engagement. It's a different thing. It's a different mindset. If you are somebody who does do speaking engagements, that's great, because that will help you with the process of recording your audiobook. But just like a client that I recently worked with, she told me, she's like, I do speaking engagements all the time, but this was like just a whole different deal. It was a whole different mindset. And that was the word that she used, mindset, because mindset is so important. Mindset is key. You have to be in the right frame of mind before you start recording. And again, mindset does come into play throughout the entire process of creating your audiobook, because, as I say, it's really, really important. So again, finding a space to record, very important. You want to find a space whether I say, it's in your office or your bedroom or your closet or wherever you want to set up that is comfortable for you. So being comfortable is very important. Having a quiet space is very important. And the other piece of the puzzle that you always have to have, especially when you are recording it in your own recording space, is just letting people know. If there are other people in your house or apartment or wherever you're recording, let them know you are working on your audiobook and you don't want to be disturbed, because removing distractions is so important. You don't want to have your cell phone with you. You don't want it buzzing or ringing or something to like pull you away from focusing on the one thing that you need to be focused on, and that's doing a great audiobook narration. That's the one thing and the only thing you should be focused on. Being in the present moment, that's where mindset comes in. Being focused in the present moment, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. Present moment, being focused and grounded, and just, this is what I'm doing. This is the job I'm doing. I'm narrating my book. That's all I'm worried about. That's all I'm concerned about. And you will get into your zone. And that's where you want to be, because that's when the magic happens. When you're in your zone and you're narrating your audiobook and you're bringing those intangibles, the emotion and the energy to your narration, you are in your zone, and that's where you want to be. Another important part of the puzzle, which we'll talk more about a little bit later on. Again, there are a lot of moving parts in creating an audiobook, and these are the highlighting the most important pieces of it. So be in your zone, of course, but again, setup and preparation is important. So not having distractions, letting people know that you are recording and do not disturb you, removing those distractions from your recording area, and again, being aware of your surroundings. If there's noises or ambience, or maybe in a space that you think you're going to set up your recording space, and maybe you have a big room that has no soundproofing at all. It's not carpeted and it's very echoey. It sounds like you're recording in a bathroom. Well, that may not be the best space for you to set up your recording space. So, picking up space that works best for you, that sounds good, and that you are comfortable in is again very important. And as I say, mindset, of course, you have to be in the right frame of mind before you hit that record button. Now, we're going to dive into some of the technical aspects, both physical and emotional, because those are two aspects that are super important when you are piecing together all the pieces of the puzzle to create your audiobook. All right. So technical, and which involves, of course, practical aspects, and then the intangibles, which are the things that you can't necessarily physically touch, but you can emotionally feel. So that is emotion, that is energy. And the other aspect that is so important is consistency. That's a huge, important piece of the puzzle of being consistent with your audiobook narration. We're going to dive into that definitely in more detail. We will be taking a break in just a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to give you a heads up of that's what we're going to be really diving into. So again, marketing, distribution, huge aspects of the puzzle pieces that you need to have to create your audiobook. Setting up your recording space. Again, if you do work with me, I provide you with the professional equipment that you need to set up your space and teach you how to do it. But again, that does alleviate a lot of that stress of having to go somewhere and figure out their timeline that's not on your timeline. And again, if you're having a bad day and your voice is not sounding well, if you're making a lot of mistakes, you don't want to have that pressure of being in a recording studio and then they're like, oh, sorry, kid, time's up. You're out. Next person's in. And you didn't get to accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish. And one more piece of the puzzle that I do want to share with you is set yourself up for accountability, meaning schedule specific times that you're going to work and record on your audiobook. Okay, maybe you allot some time to work on your marketing plan and do some social media to talk about the audiobook that you're doing. and promoting it that way, taking your followers and readers and soon to be listeners on that journey. That's really important. Let them in, right? Let them in behind the scenes. Love seeing that stuff. It's great. So, by the way, if you do have any questions, please feel free. This is the live stream. If you're catching the live stream, you can comment, or you can also give us a call here. That phone number, by the way, is 1-866-451-1451. That's 866-451-1451 if you want to call into the show. We'd love to speak with you and answer your questions. And of course, again, you can go to the chat and comment and ask your questions there as well. We'd love to hear from you. All right, we're going to take another quick break, though. When we come back, I am going to talk about more of the technical aspects and the intangibles of how to do a great audiobook narration, the tools that you need, and other things that you would need to have to do an awesome narration. All right, this is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. I am your host for the evening and for this podcast, or today, I should say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't go away. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
It was almost instant, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com. or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
All right, my friends, we are back on the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane. I'm an audiobook coach and producer. My website is robertlanecoaching.com. Pretty easy. Check it out. It has more information about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and of course, more information about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program, which is designed there to help you as a nonfiction author, take you through the process from setup and preparation to narration and publication, all the way through. And the program is only 6 weeks. And you can get your audiobook done in 6 weeks. Though I do guarantee that I will work with you until your book is done and published, because it does happen, right? Life happens. Maybe you are busy and you are traveling, or you are doing other things that you need to have more time than the 6 weeks to do your program. No problem. I'm there for you every step of the way. All right. Before I forget, I do want to again remind you that you can grab my freebie, which is the Audiobook Narration Reference Guide. Grab that because that's my little gift for you to help you with some tools and techniques to do a great audiobook narration. And the link to grab it is bit.ly/narrate narration reference guide. So it's bit.ly, it's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/narration reference guide. Grab yourself that free PDF download. Would love to share that information with you so that you are doing a great audiobook narration. And, if you've even thought about creating an audiobook, turning your nonfiction book into an audiobook, and especially if you would like to narrate it. And as I say, all nonfiction authors do need to narrate their own audiobook. Go ahead and schedule a call with me. You will talk with me directly. I don't send you off to some team of people. I want to speak with you directly. So schedule a call with me. It's that simple. We'll talk about your book. Again, marketing, distribution, everything about your book. We will discuss and get you enrolled. It's that simple. So let's have a conversation first, because I do talk with all authors before I enroll anybody, because it's a business relationship, and relationship is key, because I want you to resonate with me and how I teach and the way I help you create your audiobook. And just like I want to resonate with you, and we are building this little business partnership to help you create that audiobook. So, having a discussion is always the first thing that I love doing with authors who are interested in the program. So schedule a call. We'd love to talk with you. bit.ly/audiobook onboarding is the link. It's another bit.ly link, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Book your call. We'd love to speak with you. And I'm not some high-pressured car salesman who's going to try to force you into something you don't want to do. So let's have that discussion. But I know you're going to want to enroll because you are an entrepreneur. You are an author. You've written a book. You've published a book. It's out there in the world. You are an author brand. That is your brand. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. You are the CEO of you, which means this is your business, and the decisions that you make are crucial to moving your author brand and your author business forward. So creating an audiobook is a great decision to make for your author brand. Narrating your own audiobook is a great decision for you as your author brand, because again, no one can speak your story better than you, because you've lived it, you've breathed it, you've written it, and no other narrator, and especially not AI, can replicate you. That's what makes you so unique, and that's what draws your readers and your listeners to your audiobook to you, because of your uniqueness. And you want to preserve the integrity and the uniqueness of your author brand, because your voice, again, is in your written word. When you're narrating your own audiobook, you are bringing that written word, that style, that pacing, everything about you, your author brand, you are bringing it to life in your own voice. So that's a good thing. All right, so talking about the pieces of the puzzle, the audiobook pieces of the puzzle. Let's get into some of the technical aspects, okay? So if you're not familiar with the recording and narrating process, it is done in sections, right? You have separate audio files for every section of your book. So I'll use my book as an example. So my book, Lights Action You, when I recorded the audiobook for this book, I have 14 chapters in this book. So 14 chapters are 14 separate audio files right off the bat. There's 14 audio files right there. Then you take into consideration the other pieces of your book, your opening credits, closing credits, introduction, foreword, prologue, epilogue, acknowledgments, dedication, all these pieces of your book. Again, those are the pieces of the puzzle that create the audiobook. These are all separate audio files that you're recording. And, honestly, it does make it a lot easier for you to record your audiobook. And it's good that it is broken up into sections, because it does alleviate a lot of the pressure of thinking, wow, I'm going to have to sit and read a 3 or 4 hour book. That's a long time to sit there and do a narration. So it is good that everything is broken up into sections, and it makes it a lot easier. So just so that you understand, that is the process, okay? And again, we're talking about pieces of the puzzle. Well, those are a lot of puzzle pieces right there, but it is doable, and you will sound fantastic. You will, because through the process, you are learning the art of narration, okay? And that's where, so the authors who do go through my program, where I get to share those experiences of working in the entertainment business for 30 plus years, having all that training of audio, all come into play, where I bring that to the table and help you do a great narration by teaching you all the tools and techniques that you can do to bring out your best. Okay, so another thing that I want you to think about in regards to another puzzle piece that does relate to the marketing aspect, and I did talk about it a little bit on the last segment, was about taking your followers on your audiobook journey and giving them that behind the scenes look. This is what I do to record my audiobook. This is a sample of me recording my audiobook. Here's a picture of my recording space. There are so many things that you can do to promote yourself and to create, especially for social media, creating posts, creating reels, creating YouTube shorts, creating TikTok videos, whatever your social media platform is. Take advantage of it. Let your readers and your followers and soon to be listeners on that audiobook journey, because it really is exciting to see the process. And it's great to share that with your audience. So keep that in mind as a very important part of your marketing strategy. When I talk about building and having a path and a destination and a plan that's mapped out for your marketing, this is part of it. Promoting it while you're doing it. Maybe you do a segment of reading your book and just say, hey, you know what? You're going to be able to hear this whole thing, when I finish my audiobook. There's so many things that you can do to promote the fact that this is coming out, that you're recording it, and that it is in your unique voice. And speaking of your unique voice, again, confidence is important. And loving your voice and appreciating your voice and accepting how you sound and embracing how you sound is part of your author brand. And that it's really important, because that does preserve not only the integrity of your author brand, but it is preserving your authenticity, because your voice is your voice. This is how you sound. This is how I sound. Yeah, it is what it is. But you know what? I love it and I embrace it. That's just me and that's who I am. And you need to take that same approach, embrace and love your voice, because as a piece of the audiobook puzzle, that's part of the mindset aspect. See how that comes back into play? The mindset aspect is crucial through the entire process. You have to love and appreciate the voice that you have. It's like, oh, I don't like the way I sound. Oh, I sound nasally. Oh, I sound scratchy. I don't like my accent, or whatever, excuses that we come up with to not appreciate the voice that we have. You got to get rid of that. Okay. Those are false beliefs. You don't want false beliefs, right? You don't want to feed negativity into your subconscious, and your subconscious is going to believe what you feed it. So don't feed it bad fuel. Give it good fuel. Get rid of the negativity. Fill it with positivity. You can do that with affirmations. I have my clients write out 10 affirmations about themselves and about them being an author and a narrator, and about their voice, and saying positive things and saying it until you feel it, because when you feel it, then you believe it. And that is so important. That's why mindset is such a crucial part of doing a great audiobook narration. It sounds so simple. Oh, audiobook, no, big deal. Well, it is a big deal, especially for you as a nonfiction author. It's your brand. This is what represents you. So you don't cut corners. You don't, do a mediocre job, because why have a mediocre audiobook out there? When you published your book, did you publish a mediocre book? Of course not. Of course not. You did the best that you can. You hired a team of people that help you through the process. Your editor, your proofreader, your formatter, your cover designer. Excuse me. All those things that are crucial to creating a great audiobook narration. That also applies to when it's the same thing. It applies to when you created your book, putting a great team of people together. Now, maybe you don't need as many people involved for your audiobook because a lot of the work is already done in regards to the description of your book and all that. But having somebody that can help you and guide you through the process is really important and will help you to create not just a mediocre audiobook to one that is just fantastic, that people love hearing, and bringing the emotion and bringing the energy to the table. When you do your audiobook, that is one of the most important pieces of the audiobook puzzle. And again, consistency, one of the most important pieces of the audiobook puzzle. Energy, consistency, authenticity, all of that is so important. And you bring that to the table when you're doing your audiobook narration. Again, this is where mindset comes into play. Being focused and getting in your zone and not worrying about anything else except just doing a great narration. It's all there. You have the tools. You have the ability. You have a great voice. Believe in yourself. You have everything that it takes to do a great narration of your own audiobook. Absolutely. So those are the pieces of the puzzle that are so important, okay? Keep that in mind. We got to take one more quick break. I do want to talk about another crucial aspect of what happens after you record your audiobook, because this is very important. So don't go away. You're listening to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. RobertLaneCoaching.com is where you can go to find out more information about my audiobook coaching program. And we are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network, my friends. Don't go away. More coming your way.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
All right, we are back. Thank you for tuning into the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Boy, we're having a lot of information to share with you today. Again, piecing together the audiobook puzzle. One thing that I do want to share with you, and I'm glad you're here on the live stream of the podcast, because this isn't pre-recorded, right? We are live, and I love doing it live because it gives you the opportunity to get involved. That's why I highly encourage you to comment and to call in if you would like to get involved in the show. It really keeps me on my toes, and it gives you an opportunity to get involved. So we have a short segment left before we wrap up the show. If you want to get a quick question in, type something in the comments or give us a call at 1-866-451-14 888-888-5251. All right. We are going to be wrapping up soon, but just one aspect that I do want to talk about in regards to the audiobook puzzle, and that is after you record your audiobook, you have to have it edited. There is post-production audio involved with your audiobook for a couple of very important reasons. And that is number one, to make sure that it sounds great, that it's clean, and that you have somebody who knows what they're doing, who is willing to spend the time to go through all your audio files that create your audiobook with a fine-tooth comb, surgically removing anything that doesn't belong there, mouth noises, any other anomalies or sounds that don't belong, and that listens very intently to your audiobook, that has a trained ear to hear things that maybe you didn't notice, you didn't catch, or maybe somebody who's listening to your audiobook, maybe they didn't notice, but maybe they are hearing something or something doesn't seem quite right and they don't know what it is. This is why you have to have a professional editor who knows what they're doing, who has the experience of going through your files to making sure that they are clean and that they sound great. The second thing is that editor better know how to make sure that your audiobook is at the exact specifications for publication. And I've seen this happen several times, actually. I've had at least 3 audiobook clients that I've had to go in and either fix their audio files so that they do meet the specifications, or I had a client once who had recorded an audiobook before he started working with me, and he had to redo his audiobook. So everything he did was for nothing, and he went into the supposedly professional recording studio, and his book got rejected on Audible, Amazon, and Apple because it didn't meet the specifications, and there were a lot of issues with his audio that ended up not being able to be fixed, and he had to go and redo his audiobook. You don't want that to happen. That's a drag, man. I'm telling you, you don't want that to happen. Now, the authors who do work with me in the audiobook coaching program, that is what I provide to you. Again, with my experience as an audio editor and just working in audio and having my own audio post-production company for over 22 years, that's what you get. You get coaching, of course, but you send your files to me. So the coaching hat comes off and the audio editor's hat comes on, and I do go through your audiobook with a fine-tooth comb and surgically remove anything that doesn't belong. And if I hear something, maybe you slur a word, maybe there's a mispronunciation, maybe there's something that you didn't catch, I will catch it, and I will make sure that everything is fixed. If you need to redo a sentence or a line, not a problem, done. Everything is fixed, and I will make sure that your files are meeting the exact specifications for publication. The other thing that I do that's part of the program that I teach, because again, I only want you as the author to be focusing on doing a great narration. That's it, all right? All this behind the scenes, heavy lifting, that's my job. And that's my burden, which really isn't because I love doing it. But I will upload your audiobook for publication into Audible, Amazon, Apple, or if you do choose to have your audiobook distributed on multiple platforms, I make sure that your audiobook is uploaded and distributed on those platforms as well. So again, you have the choice of where you want your audiobook distributed, but I do the uploading for you, because if there is any type of issue, I'll know about it right away. I can get in there, fix it, re-output a new file, master a new audio file for you, get it uploaded. It's all done. You don't have to worry about it, okay? Your job is just to be a great author and a great narrator. That's it. So all the hassle and overwhelm and all these other things that need to be done are off your plate. And that's where we take that 5,000 piece puzzle and short it down, scale it down into that 50-piece puzzle. Because all those other puzzle pieces are things that, as a coach and producer, that's my responsibility to do the best that I can for you, so you create and narrate and publish an awesome audiobook. That's it, all right? If you want more information about the audiobook coaching program that I teach, which is called Your Book, Your Voice, again, the first step that you need to do is just book a call with me. Schedule a call with me. I'd love to speak with you. talk to you about your book. Again, we go over marketing strategies, distribution, all the things that you need to know and I need to know so I can do the best to help you. Because remember, when I coach you, it's one-on-one VIP coaching. And I take you through the entire process, working with you with our weekly calls, working with you with the video lessons that you have access to that help you with everything to set everything up that you need. Book your call. Bit.ly is, I'll give you the web address, bit.ly, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Okay. Schedule your call. Again, you can go to robertlanecoaching.com to find out more information and to book your call there as well. Thank you so much, by the way, for tuning into the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. One last assignment that I'm going to give to you is this. When you're out and about in the world, my friends, smile at a stranger, say hello to them, maybe give them a compliment, because that small gesture of kindness can make the world of difference in somebody's life. And that's being a good human. And there's just not enough of that out there in the world. So be good humans, all right? Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week at this same time here. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Again, appreciate you. You can follow me on my social media at Robert Lane Coaching. My website, robertlanecoaching.com, has everything you need to find out about the audiobook coaching program. And of course, I do have clips of other authors who have done the program, and they sound fantastic. So you will sound fantastic too. Have a great day, a great week, my friends. We'll be talking to you next week. And just again, be good humans.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.